Today I want to talk about jerks. And no, not your Hollywood jerks, not your high school jerk, not that jerk who tells bad jokes at work. I'm talking weightlifting jerks, Olympic weightlifting jerks to be specific. And specifically, even more than that, the split jerk. Now, we do have three variations of the jerk. We have a squat jerk, a power jerk, and a split jerk. The squat jerk is by far the least common, is only used by a small number of people within Olympic weightlifting, especially within the competition realm, with split jerk being by far the most commonly used method and coach. Now, the split jerk by many is considered the most complicated of the three competition lifts between the snatch, the clean, and the jerk. The reason that the split jerk is considered to be so complicated is because the amount of things that have to go right in order to execute a picture-perfect jerk are far higher than the number of things that have to go right for a clean or snatch to go well. With the clean is primarily a brute force movement. If you are strong, have a high power output, you can clean a lot of weight, regardless if you have phenomenal mobility or not. Cleans are more of a power development move. Now, snatches are much more of an athleticism move. You have to have good shoulder mobility, you have to have good overall athleticism, good body awareness in space, and you have to also be able to develop power, but not quite as much as you do for a clean. Now, the jerk is a combination between these. You have to develop a vast amount of power to get the bar from your shoulders overhead in that really short range of motion. Now, the second part to this is being able to catch the bar in a very tight window, similar to a snatch where the window in order to receive the bar is only a few inches wide. The jerk is very similar. If you're too far in front of your face, you'll lose it. If you're too far behind your head, you'll lose it. Now, with the variations of a power jerk or a squat jerk, the window in order to be able to receive that bar and have it be a good successful lift is even smaller and tighter. With our feet landing in a split position for a split jerk, we're able to accommodate small amounts of displacement in how we catch the bar. And so the split jerk is more commonly taught because of that, because there's a larger window of success. So some of our key starting points when it comes to a jerk is balance over your foot, good rack position, and learning how to engage your abdomen and your torso to stay rigid as you go into that dip and drive. Now, our rack position needs to be very similar to how we do a front squat. Ideally, if you can perform both of these with very similar setups, that's gonna be great because you're gonna get more time in that rack position every time you perform a front squat. You'll become more comfortable in both in how you hold the bar for your front squats and also how you're gonna be able to keep your torso up and hold the bar for jerks. So this is a really helpful benefit to be able to try to have both those things be as close as possible. Hand placement on the bar ideally is going to be right outside of shoulder width. This will change person to person and athlete to athlete depending on what their shoulder mobility is like and how tight they are in that rack position. Find a spot that you can comfortably put your hands with the majority of the bar being over the palm or the center of your hand as possible. I want that bar to go as much in the middle of your palm as you possibly can. Having it drift out to your fingertips is going to put more torque on your wrists as you hold the bar. So we really want to keep that bar over the middle of our hand. You can always work on your mobility as you continue to practice jerks, but don't try to force yourself into a position that you can't execute a good quality rep just because it's what someone told you to do right off the bat. If you're unable to be here in this shoulder width position because it just does not feel good, move your hands in or out, work with your elbow position up or down, find the spot that's comfortable for you, get reps in there, and then work on your mobility at the same time. Don't do one and then the other, do them together, because as you get more mobile, you'll be able to move your hands in or out and work on how you hold onto the bar for your rack jerks or jerks in general, opposed to trying to work on your mobility first and then come back and do the jerks. Remember, every day that you're working on jerks is the day you're getting better at jerks. Every day you're working on mobility is the day you're getting better at mobility. Trying to separate these two things to doing one first and then the other is not going to help you. Do them at the same time. Just pay attention to how much your mobility is changing over time so you can accommodate that change in how you set up for your rack position. So when you set up, hands on a bar, shoulder width apart, step into it, top of the deltoid, pull my head back, get the bar over the middle of my palms, stand up. If you're in jerk blocks, you'll just go from this position. You'll just go right down into your dip and drive and be able to execute. If you're going out of a rack like I am, you'll have to step out of the rack, set your feet. You want feet to be hip width apart, possibly slightly wider, your toes mainly pointed forward with a small bit of external rotation if necessary. Now, when you initiate your dip, you're gonna take a big breath in, brace your torso, make that as tight as possible, and remind yourself to keep your elbows up. If your elbows dip and drop, the bar is gonna fall down and that bar is gonna fall forward as you go into your dip and drive. So, elbows up, bar across the middle of the palm, deep breath in, tighten my core up so that way it stays stiff, transfers power from my legs through my arms, go down to that dip, about 4 to 8 inches for each person, and then drive up aggressively and quickly.
landing in a good split position, nice and balanced, not too much weight forward or backward, pushing up on the bar, strong with my arms, and then recovering my feet, front foot first, halfway, back foot, and then as I bring the bar down, I'm gonna jump slightly to meet the bar so that way it doesn't drop on me.
And now I want you to pay attention to what my feet do, how wide my feet are at the start and how wide they stay as I go into the receiving position of the split. Hip width apart, feet balance over the midpoint of my foot, dip, land, recover. If you are a beginner yourself or are coaching a beginner, I would highly recommend that you start with doing rack jerks or jerks out off of jerk blocks. This is going to be the easiest way to focus specifically on perfecting your jerk without the complexities of trying to catch the clean, stand up with it, readjust yourself into that proper rack position, and then execute a good jerk. Break these two movements in half so that way you can focus specifically on each of them without the complexities of trying to combine them right off the bat. Hopefully this information is helpful to you and you can utilize this information in the future in your own training.